Good morning. Welcome to the Light on Suitability podcast. I'm your host, Elizabeth Comeau, with special guest host Joseph Haydes, attorney, and very special guest today. I'm so excited that my client Thomas and Frankie joining us today to talk about their journey, both recently successful parolees, basically got grants of parole, survived the en banc processes, and are here today to tell you all about it. And I know they're doing really awesome because I've already heard from both of them to tell me what's going on. So I want you all to hear about what's going on. And then I know Joe will have questions and be curious to ask you about what you have to report. I think Thomas is in the Bay Area and Frankie's down south, but they can correct me if I'm wrong. So let's start with you, Thomas, and tell us sort of wherever you want to start with it.
Okay. I don't know how much time we have. Do we have very much?
All kinds of time.
Okay. So, good morning, everybody, and happy Mother's Day. I reiterate, happy Mother's Day to everybody, all the mothers. Much love to the mothers, and for the very special things they do, right? Uh, so, like as Elizabeth said, I'm Thomas Martinez. Very, very happy to be here. Uh, I couldn't even put it in words how happy I am to be here. You know, uh, so my journey begins, and without getting into the early childhood life experiences that I had, and my interpretation of those experiences, I would like to start just with my father put me in boxing at a very young age, at 6 years old. I boxed up until I was 17. Uh, I had the goal of being an Olympic fighter. I wanted to make the Olympics and then go on to have a career in the professional leagues, in boxing. Uh, when I when I was approaching the time for the Olympics, the 1980 Olympics, it looks like I was having a good chance to be a part of that team. The 1980 Olympics, and the 1980 Olympics were boycotted, as you know, by the president, and the Olympics were being held in Moscow. So they were boycotted, and so that shut that down, and it kind of, I don't want to blame that. However, shortly after that, I went into a tailspin. I took some time off of boxing. I was disheartened by the fact that everything I worked so hard for uh, over the years was just like ripped from underneath me. I went out to the streets. During that time, my father had put me in boxing in order to keep me off the streets. Being brought up in a uh, in a neighborhood that where gangs uh, were present. Uh, my dad put me in boxing in order to keep me out of that trouble that was involved around me. But at the time when I stopped boxing, took some time off. I got into the streets. I went into the streets and started uh, hooking up with guys that were gang members, drug users, and of the sort. I too started joined the gang, and I started using drugs and alcohol. Something that I didn't use, and something I didn't do all the way throughout those years of boxing. It did actually keep me out of trouble and keep me busy and focused on the right things. Uh, so I mean that ended up leading to my life crime. I was going out bar hopping and night clubbing. Ended up leading me to my life crime. One of the things I would point out that in my life crime as a gang member at that time, and as a person that was dealing with a lot of hurt, I was out to prove myself to people. I was out to get the acceptance and love from my peers and all those around me. Uh, like the old saying goes, hurt people," and I was out to hurt people. It maybe not consciously, but that's what I was doing. So I was at a bar one night, and I ended up committing my life crime. I murdered Michael Garman. I was arrested. That was my first arrest as an adult, uh, and I was put into the county jail. My father bailed me out. Uh, I got out. Thankfully, my father bailed me out. I mean, I can't even tell you how fortunate I was to even have the chance to bail out. So really, the system believed in me as a first termer, so somebody that was young and had never committed any crimes prior to that. They gave me a chance and they bailed me out. I was out for 6 months. Well, let me say this, upon my release, uh, my thinking was that I would stop doing the things that I was doing, primarily stop carrying weapons. So I stopped carrying guns and stopped carrying knives, uh, thinking that that was going to be enough to prevent me from getting into any other trouble, any other violent acts and whatnot, right? Uh, Not realizing that the problems, that I was the problem, that actually that where I went, my troubles went, right? And so I continued hanging out with the same people. I continued doing the same things with the exception of not carrying a weapon, thinking that that was going to prevent me from getting into any further trouble. And 6 months after bailing out, I committed another murder. I murdered Jerry Mershon. Uh, uh, I was arrested the next day. That happened to be Mother's Day of 1982. Uh, Coincidentally, I mean, how sad is that? It was on Mother's Day that I murdered, or I at least contributed to the murder of Terry Mershon, without minimizing that factor. Actually, I'm responsible for that murder as well. Uh, so I was arrested and I was put into the system. While in the system, I mean, just being, growing up, not having very much of a social life. As I was growing up, I was a disciplined boxer. My days as I grew up from the age of 6 to 17 consisted of school and training, and then sleep, and then school and training for all those years of my childhood. So really, I didn't have much of a social life or social skills. So I mean, which also contributed to my life crimes. Uh, but nonetheless, going into the county jail, uh, I happened to feel, actually, and this might sound odd, but I actually felt free. I actually felt free, free from my father's control, free from just the ability to go out and just do things. Things that wasn't able to do when I was growing up. Was just able to hang out with the guys and just be irresponsible. Hang out with the guys and just talk mess with each other, and just things that I viewed as different than what I was normal that I had gotten used to, but nonetheless fun. It's like, just I'm sad. I'm it's sad for me to say, but I was having fun hanging out with the guys in the county jail and just causing chaos. So I mean, that led me to I was on. Oh yeah, by the way, I was sentenced to 28 to life. I was given 26 to life for the first murder of Michael Garman. I was convicted of voluntary manslaughter for the murder of Perry Mershon. I was given 2 years for that. Uh, Total to 28 to life. Uh, I was immediately sent to prison after I was found guilty of those crimes. I was sent to prison. I uh, I went to Old Folsom in 1983. I got there in 19. And my crimes happened in 1981. Uh, I went to Old Folsom in 1983. Old Folsom was a beast. Old Folsom was a very scary place at that time. Uh, Old Folsom had just turned from a prison uh, that housed 35 years and older people, adults of 35 years and older. It had just turned to a prison that was accepting youngsters like myself. I was 18 at that time. Well, I was 20 at the time I went to prison, but I was 18 when I committed my crimes. So I mean, that was scary for me, especially as a first termer going in there, and I was ready to do. You hear all the stories, so I mean, I believed all the stories. I was ready to do whatever I needed to do to survive. And going in there, thankfully, I mean, I had people that I felt, uh, brought me some type of safety. People that had my back. I felt. Uh, and I embraced that. I embraced that and did everything I could to continue having that kind of a safety net, I should say. So I'm embraced that, and in fact, I was out to make a name for myself. So my time from 1983 going into Old Folsom to 1980, I would say 87, I was I had committed another stabbing. I had committed some possessions of weapons, not numerous rules violations. I had committed in order to what I come to understand today is to avoid consequences. So, and I call it uh, self-centered fear. Uh, that's I was making decisions in order to avoid being judged, uh, being hurt, being people talking bad about me, people disrespecting me. I was making decisions based on that, a fear that was selfish and self-centered, like I said. So yeah, I jumped in with both feet in, and I was out to make a name for myself and make a life in prison. They weren't letting anybody out at that time. Uh, and the gangs were promoting that in order to manipulate the young guys like myself. Is, hey, you know what? You're washed up, youngster. You're never going to see daylight again. Uh, it's over. Life's life, and that's it. Your life's over. So really, you might as well make a life for yourself here in prison. And I believe that. And I was, and because I didn't see anybody getting out, so I was all in. I was all in. Anyways, in '87, in 19, my time on the main line was very short. From 1983 to 1987, I went from Old Folsom. They opened up New Folsom. I went to New Folsom in 1986. I stayed on the main line on New Folsom from '86 to '87. And in '87, uh, the system felt like they had enough of me, enough of my craziness and my madness and all the uh, turmoil I was causing and all the fear I was causing to the population, the general population. They had enough of me, and they put me into isolation. They isolated me. Uh, they opened up Corcoran Prison, and they sent me to Corcoran. I opened up Corcoran. I opened up New Folsom, and now I'm opening up Corcoran. Uh, and they built that place for people like me who was doing the things I was doing at that time in order to really just stop the madness and stop the harm I was causing to others and the fear that I was instilling in others. So I was put into isolation in Corcoran in 1987. Uh, Shortly, while I was there in the shoe for from '87 to '88. In 1988, I went to and I committed some several more acts of disciplinary acts while I was in Corcoran, weapon carrying and fights. And this is the time. I don't know if you guys have heard of the gladiator fights they had in Corcoran. I was involved in the gladiator fights in Corcoran. Just times where they put the gangs out there together on the yards, and we just uh, sabotaged each other, just killed each other and slaughtered each other. And I mean, there's no other nicer way to put it. That's really the truth of the matter is we went after each other. So what I come to understand today is that that was a that was the platform that was being used in order to justify the opening of a place called Pelican Bay. Uh, Pelican Bay opened up in 1989, late 89. I was sent there in 1990 or March of 1990, uh, maybe 2 months after it opened up. So I was another person. That was another prison that I opened up. I was in isolation there in Pelican Bay. Uh, I mean, I spent many years there in Pelican Bay from 1990 to 2013. 26. I spent 26 years in total in isolation. Uh, there came a time when I was in isolation that in Pelican Bay that I felt I pretty much felt like I was a walking dead. Felt like I was on the shelf, and that was my existence. Is the same old every day. I mean, when you start recognizing, I mean, you don't realize it at the time, but not having human touch is something that's just like unbelievable, right? The only touch that you might have is if an officer accidentally touches your hands while he's cuffing you behind your back, right? But aside from that, you don't touch anybody. You don't get that human touch from anybody, and it's sad, but it's that's the reality. That was the reality of my life, and because Pelican Bay is so gloomy, it's such it rains so much there. You don't get a chance to see the sun. You don't get a chance to see the birds and the sky, the blue sky. All you see is grayness all over around you, and there's no windows there. I mean, it's a gloomy place. It's really all I can say about it. I mean, there's a lot of things I went through while I was there, and I mean that would be another podcast in itself, right? Just talking about that. But thankfully, I mean, there was a case that was filed. The Ashker case uh, was granted. It was filed. The guys got together and they filed that at the Ashker case, and the Ashker case helped me be released from SHU. They found that the solitary confinement isolation was cruel and unusual punishment. Uh, that isolating people for the lengths of time that I was being isolated was cruel and unusual punishment. Uh, and thankfully, with the introduction of the internet, also gave the publicity to the case itself, and I was able to be released from SHU in 2013. I mean, I was transferred to SADF prison in 2013. The main line is my first time in the main line since 1987. So I mean, uh, just to give you an example of the shock that I received is I had never seen a CD at that time. That was my first time seeing a CD uh, in 2013 when I was released. So I mean that's just to give you an example of how buried I was, how life had just went on without me, and so really, I mean, just and how that I was in a prison within a prison, and just not being able to, like, even something as simple as a mirror. Like I didn't have access to a mirror while I was in isolation. Being able to see yourself in a mirror with outside of polishing your toilet so shiny that you can see yourself in the toilet. I mean, on the stainless steel of the toilet sink connection, polishing that so shiny so that you can see yourself and shave, uh, and comb your hair when I did have hair. uh, I mean, that was another shock to me, just being able to see myself in the mirror and things of that nature. But I mean, the younger guys quickly embraced me when I got out of the shoe. Uh, I and really were glamorizing the fact that I had done so long in the shoe. I was kind of like this mystery to staff and inmates alike. So people, although they may have feared me to a degree, they were kind of like intrigued by me, and I was embraced, and people were like really treating me really, they're with the red carpet treatment. I was getting the red carpet treatment when I got out of there, and I sucked it up. I sucked it up, and I loved it. I love that attention I was getting. It's something that I wanted all my life was attention like that. And here I am now coming out of something as terrible as what I just went through. And I was being praised for that. I was getting the pat on the back for that. I was getting the attention I wanted all my life for that. I was getting the love and recognition I wanted all my life for that. And, you know, like I said, I jumped in with both feet. I was right back at the same things I was doing before I even went into the shoe. I started, but I would say this is I became a little bit more crafty about what I was doing. I got a little bit more manipulative about what I was doing. I became the person behind the scenes, the person that wasn't getting his hands dirty, person that was calling the shots. So I became that guy for a very long time. Uh, towards 2017, uh, there became a power grab on the main line there that I was at, and the gang turned on me. Just to keep it kind of brief right there, the gang ended up turning on me, and it was an eye opener for me. Uh, there was no really good reason for the gang to turn on me other than just for an attempt to grab power. Uh, and the gang when they turned on me, it was really disheartening for me. But like I said, it was eye opening for me. It showed me that at any given moment, uh, I could be exposed of. I was expendable just like everybody else was expendable, and that the love that I thought I had, the respect that I thought I was being given, wasn't legit. It was just, what can you do for me lately? So, I mean, in that lifestyle, either what I've come to learn is either you're an asset or you're a liability. And if you're no longer an asset, or if you're starting to become a liability, or you're somebody that's in the way, uh, it 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 that can be removed in a heartbeat, and that was kind of what happened with me. I made a decision there. When that came to light, I made a decision to focus on me, to choose me, to love me, uh, to think about my family and all the friends, the people that supported me all those years. Uh, so what I ended up doing is I ended up transferring to CMC. CMC was a prison that the gang frowned upon. It was a prison that was unacceptable in terms of the gang. Uh, but I was able to go there because at that time the gang considered CMC a legitimate place because uh, gang member was there. Gang leader was there, and he made, just by his presence there, made the yard like a good yard. So I transferred there in 2017, uh, and shortly after being there, a riot occurred. I was there maybe 2 months, in a racial riot occurred within that 2 months. I was fortunate not to get caught up in that. I was on the sidelines during that time. Uh, but I made the decision not to get involved in it because I mean I could have went out of my way to get involved in that if I wanted to. But like I said, I had chosen me. I had chosen what was best for me, and I was on a new course of life, a new course for myself. And I mean, I should add this is that from the very beginning of my incarceration, I always wanted something good for myself. It was there. Yeah, it was there. I didn't realize that other things were driving me, driving the bad decisions I was making. I didn't realize at the time, but like I always had at the core, at my core, always the desire for something good for myself, and I knew that I was capable of something good. So when it came time to choose me, it was an easy decision, right? So, anyways, in 2017, I transferred to there. The riot occurred. I thankfully I didn't get caught up in that. Uh, uh, oh, I should say this. In 2017, prior to my transferring to CMC, I went to board. I went before Commissioner Peck, who as many might know, is he had a history of gang investigative services. He was a gang commissioner with a background of gangs, and I was also he was my commissioner, and I was in front of Deputy Commissioner Wilbacher uh, in 2017, and during that hearing, I I denied all my gang activity, uh, and 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 the reason why I was so like even though I wanted better for myself, the last thing I wanted to do was put anything on paper because I know that the conversations were being tape recorded. I knew that there was transcripts that was going to be developed as a result of those hearings, and I didn't want anybody to say that I was giving it up, right? So I stuck to the code of silence, right? Not so I denied everything, even though they were telling me that I was everything I was, and even though they were telling me that they had information corroborating uh, everything I was doing, I denied it. I denied it all the way, and it came to the point where Commissioner Peck uh, let me know straight up. Hey, look, man, uh, you probably don't know what we have here, but we know who you are. We know who you are. We know what you're doing. It's sad that you choose the life that you're having because you can have better for yourself. But nonetheless, hey, have it your way, right? And then Deputy Commissioner Wilbacher said something really profound to me. He said, you know, you have a lot of support from your family. Your family obviously loves you very much. Uh, and really, it doesn't matter what to him. He's saying, he's saying that it didn't matter to him one way or another what decisions I made, whether I wanted to choose the gang life or whether I wanted to choose possibly going home to my family and respecting what my family had to, and, all the love and support my family gave me. Uh, whatever decision I made, as far as he was concerned, I needed to make a decision one way or the other because basically I was hurting my family and I was also doing this other stuff. Uh, So really just being more forthcoming with what I wanted to do for myself. And he made me think, like I said, when it came time for me to start realizing about choosing myself, that made me think about how real, how true that was. I needed to make a decision, and that led to my decision for myself as well, right? So fast forwarding to back to CMC, shortly after that riot, uh, the gang was ordered out of there. The leader of the gang was leaving, and since he was leaving, everybody had 30 days to get out of there, or else you had to face the consequences. Uh, I like just say on the same page that I had went there on, I continued that same mindset as I choose me, right? I kept it, I kept my choice closer to my vet, close to my chest for my own safety. Uh, but as the gang was leaving, uh, many guys had asked me, "Hey, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Are you going to leave?" I said, "You know what? I'm thinking about it. I'm not sure. I didn't give them my true answer just for out of my safety of myself. But I chose me, and I already knew I was staying behind. And little by little, as the guys started leaving, uh, uh, eventually I became one of the only guys standing there, right? And I laughed because it's like, how great was that for me? It's just really a blessing that it was made easy for me uh to disassociate from the gang in that way. And the way I looked at it, if the gang didn't like the fact that I was staying at CMC, if the gang was frowning on me for making a decision to choose myself, then the reality of it is the gang didn't love me or like me anyways, or didn't care about me anyways. Because obviously I was doing something that was good for myself. I was doing something that was going to benefit me, and if they didn't like it, then that's the reality of it, is that they didn't love me anyways, right? Because the way I look at it, if anybody had any love for me, they would want me to have something good for myself, and if they didn't support that, then clearly uh that wasn't the case, right? So I mean, that was also a revelation for me. It's just like confirmed already that the falsehood of the game, of the love and the respect and whatnot. It just corroborated all that. So that's something that really continued to drive me, wanting better for myself and things of that nature. Uh, so I was all in terms of rehabilitation at CMC. CMC is a great place. That's the reason why I went there initially, is that I seen on paper that they had so many great groups that were available. And when I came out of the shoe, they didn't have any groups on the main lines. At least not on the level 4 main lines, the 180s. There wasn't any groups. I had started establishing them then when I was at SATF, but really they had no meaningful groups. And but when I went to CMC, I seen that they had a lot of groups. I went there and I jumped in with both feet, got involved in all the groups. And by 2020, I was facilitating all the groups. I had already taken all the groups. That's how that I had a group for every day and every night. I was working, I was doing groups, I was all in. And as I was doing these groups, I was learning more and more about myself. I was really starting to understand why I was making the decisions I was making. I started understanding the fact that I was hurt, the fact that these are words that men don't find very easy to say. Hurt, fear, experiencing these things. These are things that I was starting to recognize about myself. This guy that was supposedly this tough guy, carrying himself in prison, like and having thinking that he had people, uh, you know, at his every beck and call. The truth of the matter is, I was the scared guy. I was the one that was hurting and scared, right? And I was making decisions based on that stuff, and just understanding that was a revelation to me. And then when I started really getting deeper into my own beliefs, the beliefs that I held, going back to my childhood experiences, just the idea that I wasn't loved, really, I mean, that's the perception I had growing up, that I wasn't loved and that I was inadequate. Uh, when I started understanding that, in fact, I was more capable than than I was really believing, that I was loved more than I even knew I was loved, and the fact that my family was still standing by me after all those years really said it all to me, right? So, I went to board in 2020. I went to the psych in 2020. I had a psych evaluation in 2020. As Elizabeth knows, uh, something that was turned out to be a very big struggle in my life, in my process of my whole process of getting out. Uh, I was given a high risk assessment in 2020 by the psychologist Barclay. He wrote me a really messy psych eval that needed to be uh, fixed. I believe three times. I mean, it was really a messy, erroneous psych eval. But I will say this: that my history was really what was behind the high evaluation. My minimizing my involvement was another factor that contributed to the high psych evaluation. So in spite of the errors and the messiness of the psych eval, uh, I would say that in spite of the fact that I did a lot of work, but my work was kind of recent. Uh, the high risk assessment was understandable because of my minimization of my involvement and the newness, the recentness of my rehabilitation. Because by that time I had 3 years of rehabilitation, of really solid rehabilitation group work, and that really deep group work. Uh, so I mean, a high risk assessment, although it was very disappointing, uh, I mean, it was what it was, right? So I went to the board in 2020. Got Elizabeth was my attorney in 2020. Got pretty close to getting found suitable. Uh, uh, I had Commissioner Sullivan. Commissioner Sullivan really he wanted to believe me that I had changed. In fact, he said that he believed that I had changed. But I think it was a psych eval that was really holding him up a little bit. There were some errors that were in the psych eval that were pretty crucial. And he just wanted some clarification on some factors. And he gave me some pretty good guidance on how to overcome them issues, them barriers. And I left that with a lot of hope, man. He's just like, you know what? We we want to let you out, but we just need a little bit more time from you is really what it came down to, and some clarification on some factors. So they ordered an investigation in my case uh in order to prepare me for my 2020 what at the time was I got a 3-year denial, what at the time was going to be 2023. uh Waiting for that hearing. I filed for early hearing in 2022, which encouraged the investigation to happen. At that point, the investigation didn't happen. I filed for the early hearing because based on the erroneous psych eval and all the work that I did. I did a tremendous amount of work all throughout that period of time. Uh, in 2022, I was granted an early hearing. My instinct was to hire Elizabeth again on 2022, my hearing in 2022, knowing that she knew my case very well and that she knew my psych eval through and through, that she was the perfect person to help me with that, navigate that whole process. Uh, so yeah, we brought her on board, and in 2022 I went to board, and wow, you wouldn't even believe. And I'm just trying not to get too emotional about this, but you wouldn't even believe after 42 years how this all played out for me, right? So I had Commissioner O'Meara. She's a new commissioner. I was a little bit uh, nervous about the fact that she was a new commissioner because I had just had Sullivan. Sullivan was a new commissioner, and really, what I felt like having a new commissioner, uh, I felt like that a new commissioner wouldn't be so uh, willing to take a chance on a person. I felt so having a new commissioner to me was maybe a negative, right? I needed somebody that had a lot of experience and that was willing to take a chance on me and really see the truth in me and take a chance on me. So I had a mirror, and that's what that's the card I was dealt. The deputy commissioner I had was
Wilbacher.
Yeah, you never guessed that it happened to be Will Walker. The same commissioner I had in 2007, deputy commissioner I had in 2017, who had told me it didn't matter what decision I made, but I needed to make a decision either to change my life or continue on my gang life, right? So going into that hearing, I was nervous about having Will Walker because Will Walker had a very, I believed, was a very bad experience with me. I was lying all throughout that 2017 hearing, as I mentioned. So I thought he was going to really rip me a new one in this 2022 hearing, right? Probably the only thing I had going for me was I did the work. Uh, I changed from the man that I was. I was no longer doing the things I was doing. And yeah, so that's what I had going for me. So immediately immediately going into that hearing, Will Bucker recognized me. He he obviously did his background homework on the 2017 hearing. He refreshed himself with that. Uh, he voiced that to me. He welcomed me, uh, and we let the hearing go, man. The hearing went. Really, I think really what really, uh, helped me get to the point I'm at today is not only the hard work that I've done, the years of the hard work I've done. I mean, you're talking about 18, 19, 21. I did close to 6 years of really deep hard work on myself. I got involved in the OMCP offender mentor certification program. I became an addiction counselor. That I am an addiction counselor today as a result of that. The CDCR afforded me that. It was one of the things that really helped me in my board hearing because there was a vetting process that was involved in getting involved in the OMCP program, and it's like here's somebody that you're going to have working with the population. It's like how are you going to let somebody work with the population who is a so-called this terrible person, right? So I mean, the fact that I was accepted into that program, vetted uh, thoroughly by the investigative the institution gang investigators, uh, said a lot about who I was, those are the factors that I needed. I needed that to really help me get to the point I'm at today. So, and it was something I was proud of. It was an accomplishment. I was really proud of. I felt good about myself going in there. Like I said, I was a changed person, and I had no problem being transparent. And that's really one of the things that I would really encourage people to, going into these board hearings is be transparent, take responsibility, uh, really find 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 the reasons why you made the decisions and that remorse is really is remorse for what you did. I mean, I think that once you understand why you did the things you did and you understand that how what I like to say while I was in prison facilitating groups, what I like to say is that all of us are in prison for a certain crime. That all those crimes may be different, but the bottom line is each and every one of those guys that are in prison because they hurt people, right? And that's really the bottom line. Is every one of us were in prison because I don't believe that there's a victimless crime, and every one of us were in prison because we hurt people. So it's that's just that simple. And until you stop hurting people, you belong in prison, right? And having that mindset going into board is that hurting people is not okay, and violence is not okay. Having that mindset going into board really helped me uh, find that remorse, have that remorse, and take responsibility for my actions. And so yeah, that's what I did. I went in there and took responsibility for my actions. Uh, was completely transparent about my involvement in my all my behaviors. My took all my 115s, all the things that I've done. I took responsibility for those things, and in the end, obviously they found me suitable. You know, the blessing that I had in Commissioner O'Meara is I don't know if I don't know this for a fact, but from what I understand, Commissioner O'Meara is her background is a psychologist. She was a member of the forensic psychologist team. for the BPH, and with a high risk assessment, like people getting out with a high risk assessment is almost unheard of. But Commissioner O'Meara, she voiced on record that after reviewing my case, after hearing all the evidence that was before her, the psych eval, that she diagnosed me as being a low risk assessment. Uh, I mean, how good is that? Like for the person that's qualified to truly say, to overturn the high risk assessment, basically, I should say, to really just re-diagnose and see. She spent more time with me than the psychologist did when in the assessment. So really that speaks volumes, I think, really in the end of the day. Uh, so that was a blessing. And then the second blessing is that I had Wilbacher, somebody that I thought was going to be a negative, turned out to be a positive, because who better to say, who better to have a comparison of the old and new. So Commissioner Wilbacher, he voiced on record, and during his time to speak, he said, I just want to say one thing, and all I want to say is that the man sitting before me is clearly a different man than the one I seen in 2017. You've definitely changed, and that's what I needed uh, in order to get found suitable. I needed for them to see that I was no longer that same person. And a lot of times people in prison, a lot of us, while we're in prison, we think that the commissioners are stacked against us. And that's that old thinking. That's that old stinking thinking that we have, right? They're all stacked against us. They're not making but really the truth is that it's about us, right? It's about what we're presenting to the board. And clearly I think I'm evidence of the fact that, because I mean, I didn't debrief. I didn't have to debrief. I didn't have to go through any of that kind of things in order to show them that I was no longer the gang member, that I didn't do any of that. Just the fact that they were able to see the changes in me was enough for them, and that's why my challenge was a little bit higher. I needed to prove to them that I was no longer that same person, uh, and Will Bucker was the perfect person to really be able to say whether or not I was a changed man or not, and so they took a chance on me, and they said it was a hard decision. They said it was a very difficult decision. But you know what? We find you suitable. We believe that you're a changed man and whatnot, right? So this, uh, talking it over with after getting found suitable the next day, Elizabeth let me know that I pretty much can expect to be en banked. Uh, I guess that's how you pronounce it, right? En banc. I can expect the governor not to sign off on my case because of the gang issue, and because of the double murder that I carried in there. Those are factors that the governor uh, looks hard at and reconsiders, or looks for another voice in the matter. So that's something that we expected from day one of coming out there, right? She was apologetic and let me know, but I appreciated the frankness. The celebration was very short before that occurred, and sure enough, I was sent to en banc, uh, and it was all based on the fact that uh, the question was presented to the panel, was whether or not I have been doing what I've been doing long enough, whether or not I was truly a changed person. Uh, they just wanted them to look at that a little bit harder, and then because the psych eval was also a factor, the high risk assessment, uh, and I think that's what psychologists said, that he would question whether or not I had been doing what I've been doing long enough. But that was in 2017, and I mean, clearly, I mean, that was in 2020. So clearly that was we're already 2 years removed past that. And I did a lot. The OMCP program was one of them since that time. So I mean, those were factors that were weighed in, I believe, in that en banc hearing, uh, along with the many supporters I had, testimony from supporters I had, really contributed to them ordering my release, right? So here I sit today, in Oakland. I was released on March 3rd. I've been out about 2.5 months. Here I sit in the Bay Area, Oakland. I'm in options recovery services here. I work for options recovery services. I'm a site coordinator here at the reentry housing that I'm at here today. Uh, like I said, I'm a AOD counselor. So I mean, these are I'm running groups here, the reentry groups. So groups such as uh, financial. And how weird is this? Is that I'm showing guys how to finance. Uh, After 42 years of incarceration, being incarcerated at 18, here I am at 59, and I've never dealt with finances before, but I've learned since being in the 2.5 months I've been out here. I've taken many courses. I've been learning a lot, and everything I'm learning, I've been passing it on to the guys. We're talking about social anxiety. We're talking about finances here at Options Recovery Service. Great groups that we're running here, and it's an OMCP home, so all the guys here are counselors as well. We're just helping people re-enter and just adjust to the whole process. Uh, so really, that's been a great experience. I've had my first experience maybe about a month ago. I'm starting to go into the juvenile halls. The juvenile halls have allowed me to go in there. I've had a chance to talk to the kids. I don't want to call them kids, but the young people in there. I've had a chance to talk to the young people in there, present myself, establish some credibility with them, build something that I can build on, because the plan is for me to continue going in there and helping the youth out here in Oakland. Uh, so these are things that I'm starting to do. Right now I'm working on being certified as a life coach as well. So in addition to, I'm not so sure I want to get into counseling. I think I'm more headed towards inspirational, motivational speaking, maybe in the schools, juvenile halls, like I said, things of that nature, maybe interventions, maybe some type of intervention, things of that nature. I'm trying to build up my certifications in order to allow me to do that. Really based on a lot of my foundation is based on my experiences. Uh, the fact that I lived it, right? I mean, when you're talking about 42 years of incarceration, and then working my way out, and then having, like, I mean, I come from a world where they talk about people losing their minds. In isolation, I've seen a lot of people lose their minds. I've seen a lot of people not able to pull themselves out of that kind of a situation. I was able, thank by the grace of God, I was able to pull myself out of that situation, maintain my sanity, not only maintain my sanity, but actually thrive. Today I'm thriving. Uh, I think it goes to the same lifestyle, the same life upbringing that I had, the tough upbringing that I had being raised by a single parent father, who was tough on me, ruled with iron fist, really uh, almost calloused me, but yet helped me build resilience. I think we're all resilient in some way or another, but my the same life experiences that sent me down, that I interpreted and sent me down the drain, like spiraling downwards, also contributed to the reason why I'm thriving today. Uh, just turned around in a positive way. The resilience that I have today has really helped me survive and get to where I'm at today and where I'm thriving. So that's something that I'm really thankful for. Things are going well. I couldn't be happier. Like I said, I've only been out 2.5 months, and I'm already doing good stuff, man. And my whole idea is, from this point forward. Yeah, the other day I was going through some training, and we're talking about vision. My vision is to be the person in another young man's life, that person that I didn't have, right? And what that looks like to me is that looks like a per, you know I lost trust in the adults in my life. Uh, I needed somebody to step in, intervene in my life, and care about somebody that I knew cared about me, reached out their hand to me, took interest in me, took interest in the things that I was interested in, and just gave me some type of guidance, some solid guidance without any kind of judgment or any kind of anything. I, I, I want to be that person for another young man's life. Uh, I mean, it could be an adult. It doesn't really matter, the age. I just want to be that person for somebody, in some way, shape, or form. And if I can do that, I feel that my life wasn't for nothing. Because prior to me changing my life, that's one of the things that also contributed to my changing my life was I didn't want to die and say that, hey, you know what, he was on this earth and all he has to show for himself is all the harm that he caused. I didn't want to be that guy, that I was on this earth just for nothing other than hurting people. I wanted to be, spoken, have leave some type of legacy behind, and that's something that I'm working hard on today. Uh, so that's really, I want to say in a nutshell, but because there's a lot of details in between all that stuff. But yeah, that's my journey to this point. Sorry, so long.
That's okay. That's okay. Frankie,
Yes.
that's my client. That's how Thomas speaks. He's got a long story, but very inspirational. Very inspirational.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Very inspirational. What did you think, Frankie?
Oh, it was good because a lot of I could see when he was talking about a lot of stuff. I could see like, okay, I thought like that, and I was living that life. I was doing these things just the same as him and trying to get to know the praise from everybody else, and then like bored, getting denied at bored, like it sucked. But trying to rewire your mind within a certain period of time that we had from almost 30 something years of violence, of knowing what we knew in the past, but to rewire that mind, like I was like, man, okay, yeah. When he talked about CMC, I thought about Tehachapi. Okay, we had a 30-day limit to get off that yard, so I had to, like, okay, yeah, it's making a like right in the county, like during my parole hearing, like my violence didn't stop at my crime because I killed Jacoby Alexander. I escalated while I went to the county, and it just kept escalating and escalating. But those are the choices that I decided to make. Why? Because I wanted acceptance of somebody else. And then when he was talking about Corcoran Shoe, I was like, dang, I was there too. Like, man, like and then the change, the transformation that we do, like, yeah, in the beginning when I went for my consultation hearing, I was like, man, I want to go home. But I'm glad for board because it started placing everything. In the beginning, it was just bored. Okay, I want to get out. But by doing, like, okay, by going to groups, by internalizing what we do, internalizing these groups, it changed in me. And then I just dove right in and made the transformation to no longer hurt nobody, to face the unresolved issues that I still deal with. And by me doing that, I started seeing, okay, this is what happened. This is why it happened. These are the things why I did what I did. And next thing you know, like how he did, I started running every group, and then breaking it down. Like, okay, why? Okay, we're all gang members. Like, because when I was in group, I was like, bro, if you're in my group, everybody's participating. Why? Um, because my favorite group was CGA and Vic's Impact. Like, all you guys are criminals. All you guys are criminals. All you guys are gang members. Like, you can't tell me you don't have no answer for any of this. Like, either you're part of it or we could just dismiss you. And then, but it was very inspirational. And the struggles that he went through is the similarity struggles that it's hopeless. Like, okay, I'm no longer getting, because when you go to prison and jail, like, yeah, they do utilize you. They do these things. They tell you these things. Okay, man, you're not going home no more. Like, okay, make a career out of this. And my career was trying to get to like towards Pelican Bay. That was like Harvard for a gang member. Like, okay, you made it to Pelican Bay. Like, okay, but the warden decided not to send me to Pelican Bay because they told me that, oh, you're trying to go kill somebody. You're trying to do this. Like, nobody's ever asked, like, volunteer yourself to go to Pelican Bay. It's like nobody has ever done that. Like, yeah. But I was like, bro, like, my mom lives in Oregon. Like, no. But the stories and for him being 2 months out, that's good because a lot of I see here like I'm at work right now and I had an open shot. Like I just came to get my laptop, but being here at the center at Mass Liberation, like I see gentlemen come out and what he was talking about too is like if you haven't dealt with your unresolved issues in prison, they're gonna show up twice out here. And I seen it with gentlemen who just got out. He got frustrated because we did a tech class on Friday and he got frustrated. And then not only that, we had a Zoom meeting for prep. He got frustrated. He got frustrated, like, bro, like I'm don't trip. We're on my Zoom right now, my phone. I said, look, I'll log you in. All you have to just press on the left speaker to speak and you'll be all right. But he ended up logging out. So I told him when I was talking in group, I told people like, we're gonna get frustrated. We're gonna get these things. Why? Because we only knew one emotion, and it was prison life. That was it. We knew the violence. We knew when yard was gonna happen. We knew when somebody was gonna get stabbed. We knew everything. That was our emotion. Coming out here is like a foreign language, like Mandarin. So it's all these new emotions that we have to learn now. Like, okay, use your tools. Okay, look, oh man, why do I feel like that? Why is this making me feel like this? Like, man, why am I getting frustrated? Why? Because you don't want to seem like you're an idiot. Like, man, like, but that's not the thing. It's like we have to ask for help.
Absolutely.
And you're at that mass liberation. I was really interested in that as well, and a whole bunch of other things, Frankie. But the mass liberation, I think, is there to help, if I have it straight, that guys that maybe are getting out and not really getting the connections they need or struggling more than, say, somebody like Thomas who's got it. He's in a program, it's a solid program and things like that. And that one's kind of a safety net type of program. Is that right?
Yeah, mass liberation. They do it in incarcerated people where we help you find employment. Like I took somebody to go get their driver's license, their ID. We go look for their birth certificates, and if you're not a citizen, we'll contact the consulate. As long as you had a drive-in in whatever country you're in, we'll start doing the paperwork because it takes 30 to 40 days for you to get your like. You can't get ID, but you can have a license. They're involved with South LA College with the OSHA to get certified as a forklifter or construction working. We have contacts with the transit to help you get transit. We help you with technology. There's a 4-week class where on Monday and Monday and Friday, yeah, Monday and Friday we teach class like a curriculum, finances, how you deal with your emotions, what are you struggling with right now. Um, on Wednesdays we do a technology class where we show you how to use your computer, how to set up a document, how to have your signature on your email. Then we show you how to clip something and send it to somebody. And we show you how to do a Google account. We show you how to do all these other things. Then we have a graduation. It's more like a family here. Like somebody just came last Friday, like, man. And then he told me, no, 2 weeks ago he came and he just told me this week, like, man, I've been doing everything on my own. And I've been to other organizations like, oh, here. But it seems like this place, like, we don't treat nobody like any different than nobody. We treat everybody the same. Like, okay, you need help, we'll stop what we're doing and help you. I mean, you need this, you're struggling with this. Oh, you need to get picked up. Where are you at? We have a van here to go pick people up. Now I got my license. So I volunteer my time to go pick other people up to bring them to the center, take them somewhere, take them to a doctor's appointment. If you need medical, we'll take you to medical. We'll help you get that. If you need to have an appointment, we'll help you go take the appointment. We're just little transitions, we're helping set in. Because when I got out, I went to Amity and I didn't have a counselor for like a week. I had to go look for my counselor. And during the time, she's like, oh, you don't like, what don't you like about this place, Frankie? I was like, the thing I don't like about this place is that Not once none of your staff asked me, hey, how are you dealing with your emotions? Not once did you ask me, not once did you try to help me out. Mass Liberation helped me out, these other ARC, but the thing is that Mass Liberation helped me out to the most. They're the ones who helped me get my license. We take people, we have a parking lot where we take people driving, if they get their driver's license or their permit, we take them around, we take them on the street. We take them down the routes that they might go down. There's 4 routes that the DMV does, so we will help them navigate. Okay, this is what you messed up. And I kept my paper, which we were gonna start doing, where, okay, you messed up here, you messed up here, and then we could explain to these gentlemen and the ladies, the women, okay, this is what we have to do. We try to set them success, like, we'll give them like 200 hours, or we'll find other organizations, like, okay, here, volunteer your time for 200 hours and you'll get $950 every 2 weeks. Sign up here, you'll get this, go to college. You could get financial aid money. They could help you out with all these other things, and they do. And then the director, man, he has put me in, not only him, but other people have put me in good positions where I'm at today. He's revising he's revising the Title 15 for the Youth Authority. And then a couple of, and so I understand that they're all getting shut down too. So he's like the board member now. He's the chairman now for that, for the BESCC. So I'd asked him Friday, look, I would like to learn more about this. So he gave me a pamphlet, he gave me books, he gave me his paperwork, he gave me YouTube videos, hey, watch these, do this. And so I just do research, like if he's in Sacramento, like I'll contact him from Sacramento, or somebody, Noel, he was in Pleasant Valley with me, he's in Fontana. So I looked up jobs for him and I said, hey, contact this person and tell him that, hey, Frankie from Mass Liberation sent me to you, and then they'll help you get a job.
That, so what if someone's struggling, like down in Riverside, they've got themselves into some transitional home that's kind of flaky, they're just not doing anything to help, and they call Mass Liberation and say, look, I'm struggling here, I need support, and I'm not getting it through the organization that I got put into by, however, the one I picked or the one I got put into. A parole agent is kind of, who knows? You only check in with them once a month anyway, but can they call you up and ask to be transferred over there?
So they could call, and then, because they do have housing. So there's a list. So if he calls ahead of time, they could put him in the housing. And while you're in the housing, they'll, like I said, everything else follows with that. Like, okay, they'll help you get this, they'll help you get that. The PO is real friendly with the organization. They know the organization. But as long as they call and like, hey, you think I could go transfer to yours? So they'll start sending if they have room, they'll start sending an arrangement up. Because even if not, they could even call, and then we could FaceTime. Okay, what are you struggling at? What are these things? By us FaceTiming them, okay, I'm having difficulties getting my birth certificate. Okay, look, we'll just do this online. I'll pull out my laptop and I'll do it online for them. Or if they're having struggles with a job, or even with the counselors at the transition housing, I know that because I already had a few controversies with debates with counselors in my transition housing. So I know how it is.
That's amazing. And so do inmates, eligible parolees, are they writing you for their letters of acceptance and things like that as well? Or is that type of organization?
So we have a curriculum. It's a 15-course curriculum. It goes everything from relationships to mental health to fitness, to budgeting, to financing, to technology. So once they complete that, we send them a survey, and then we send them a housing application. So when they go to board, the CEO, Joelle, she'll write them an acceptance letter. And then like we could each write our own separate, but there's the heading. So she does all that. She does acceptance letter. Because when I went to board, I had like 4 of them from here, from Mass Liberation.
Very cool. Joe, do you have any questions before we wrap it up? Because we've got hours and hours. We could spend hours. I would love to talk to you guys for hours about all this stuff. And we just might, you never know. But not today. It's Mother's Day. I gotta cut my peeps loose here.
Sure. I did have one question for both of them. And that is, everybody wants to go to their suitability hearing to get a grant of parole, but there's a big, huge, vast difference between wanting to be paroled and actually doing and changing yourself, to get your grant. So I have a couple questions. Well, actually, this is for both of them, but okay. When did you realize you must change? When did you make the decision to change? And what was the first thing you did after you made the decision to change? What was like the first step you took? And that's my question for both of them, whoever wants to go first.
I think it was, I was in High Desert and I was drinking on the yard. I was drinking White Lightning on the yard, and when I was drinking, I was sitting on a curb or by a table. There was like a little lip, and I was sitting down drinking with two individuals, and I was like, and I looked out, and I was like, man, that's crazy. I was like, man, this is not for me. I said, I know I'm not gonna die here, and so I got up and turned around to the two individuals, and I asked them, hey. And I took another sip and I was like, hey, what do you see out there? And there was like baseball, they were running, they were like working out. People were just in their little groups. And then they said, oh, I see this dude working out. I see them playing basketball. I was like, nah, man, really look. Like, what do you really see out there?
Mm-hmm.
And they thought I was drunk already. And I was just like, and I took another sip and I was like, serious, bro, like, what do you really see? And they're like, I don't know. What are you talking about? I was like, bro, like, we need cowbells around our fucking neck. They're
I'm
like,
sorry, I
what?
didn't hear that. What?
I say we need cowbells around our neck. I
Oh.
go, we look like human cattle. They're like, what are you talking about? I go, listen, bro, like if there was 5,000 acres, the cows ain't gonna spread out, I said. They're gonna all follow the lead. I go, that's what we're doing. We're walking in circles. We're doing the same thing, going over and over. I go, there has to be something better than this. I know there is. There has to be something better than this. I truly believe in it. And they're like, nah, you're just drunk. I was like, no, bro, like, I'm serious. Like, that's all we need is we're just human cattle. But then I gave like my alcohol away and I just left. And then I ended up going to the hole like 2 days later. I ended up assaulting somebody and I went to the hole. So my spiritual advisor went there. And then she just broke. She questioned my manhood. She questioned everything. And when I came out, my boss, who, because I work for Hummingbird Filming Industry now, one of my bosses told me like, "Hey, bro, move in with me." And I was like, so I moved in with them, and then he took me to CGA, and then I started getting into groups, and then I got into Gogi. But when I really changed was Victims Impact. When I heard it was a robbery case, it was a live 111 robbery case. So when the lady was calling 911, you heard a little kid crying, and then she's like, "Oh, she's in here." She was yelling, and then you hear a shot, and then you hear another shot. So they killed the mother and they killed the kid. And then when it was done, and we had to fill out our curriculum, I was like, man, I did that to somebody's family. I did that. I did that to somebody's family. I did these things, and then from there, like, I started changing. I started, you know what? I started taking things seriously because it had an impact on me.
Yeah.
And so then I just dove into every group.
Wow. I'm blown away.
Yeah, that's excellent. That's excellent. I want to get deeper into that with you one day. How about you, Thomas, before we wrap up?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So really, for me, the idea of change was a process for me. It was a long process. I mean, it was no one specific thing that really catapulted me into change. I was married in 2000. Uh, my parents and my grandparents, all the significant people in my life had passed away. My father was in 2017. My father was struggling with diabetes, type 2 diabetes. He was on the verge of dying, and he on a conversation with me on the phone, he told me that he was trying to stay alive in order to see me released someday. That really hit home with me, and that was like towards the 2015, 16. The gang turning against me was another factor. Uh, so those kind of like led me to it was one on top of another that kind of led me into the to wanting better for myself, to wanting to get out and stop thinking so much about myself. Then the way that I started changing. Frankie talks about victims impact, and victims impact was definitely significant for me as well. Uh, but just LTOP, they have a long-term offenders program that I became a part of. SCMC had a LTOP program there that consists of substance abuse. I started with substance abuse. It was a 8-month every day program that I was in these 12-man groups with the counselor, the certified counselor and clinician. Uh, sat before those guys, and these types of groups where you have a counselor and a certified counselor or a clinician, these types of groups, they don't allow you to get away with the simple answers. They hold your feet to the fire, and really encourage you to really deal with the issues that you have. Dig deep, as opposed to the groups that are facilitated by just your peers. I mean, those are good groups. They're meaningful groups, but the groups that really made a difference in my life are the groups that were headed by clinicians and counselors, people that didn't let me get away with the surface answers, made me dig deep and really figure stuff out, right? And LTOP happened to be the format for that. So yeah, that's how that's and then just like I said, just doing the work and really understanding, because and it sounds simple, like doing the work, it's a simple answer, but really the truth is that it's layered, right? So like when you're doing when you're doing these groups, you start learning something about yourself, and it's like these are little aha moments for you. Like, man, all this time I thought 2 plus 2 was 9, and now I'm understanding that 2 plus 2 is not 9. 2 plus 2 is actually 4. So when you start discovering this stuff, it's kind of like you're smart enough to know not to no longer say 2 plus 2 is 9, because now you know that 2 plus 2 is 4. And just discovering these faulty beliefs that I once held, and why they were untrue.
He froze up, but we'll see if he comes back. I really appreciate you coming, Frankie. It was really good to see you. Here he's back
Thank
here. But we'll wrap it up because we've been going for some time, and I would love for you guys to join in. I wanted to make this kind of a community if I could. It ended up being a podcast. I don't know that that was a good idea or a bad idea. I don't know, but it was a great idea today to have you guys here. I'm very happy to see you both again. And I'm really happy that you reached out to me, Frankie, and I'm very proud of you both. Of course, you don't need that. I'm not your mother, but I could be like a pseudo mother. And thanks again, Joe. You're always here promptly. And I know you're going to be here, and that's always wonderful. You guys keep in touch. Everybody keep in touch. Have a wonderful day.